This is Kelso Sturgeon. Thank you very much for joining me for another session at my College of Advanced Sports Handicapping. Going to review the weekend, look ahead a little bit here, and make some personal comments that I think need to be made, especially in football this past weekend. You know, I had a great weekend on Saturday. I won my 100-unit college game of the week, my 7th winner out of 8 tries, as Kansas State crushed Kansas 31-10. Came right back on Sunday and won the big one. My 200-unit NFL game of the year as the New York Giants beat the Washington Redskins 24-17. Great weekend, and I'd like to make some comments about the weekend, especially in college football, because there just were certain things that happened that were interesting, and one I think was a little disturbing. First of all, let's do the disturbing. I released Auburn plus the 10.5 over Alabama on Saturday in the big game, the Iron Bowl, and so I have no axe to grind in the game. But one thing that really distresses me is that after the game was over and the Alabama field goal kicker, I'm not even going to mention his name, had missed 3 field goals, the guy started getting death threats from Alabama fans because they missed the field goals. Let me tell you something. I know a lot of people in Alabama. They're very classy people, and it's unfortunate that the image of the state and the football program is besmirched by some flaming idiots who take this game with Auburn so seriously that they would wish death or say they are going to kill the guy who missed the field goals. It's sick, and there's no other way to describe it. In the same vein, I'd like to point out a comparison between 2 coaches that lost games and lost big games too. First of all, Nick Saban, coach at Alabama, was very gracious. I'm sure he had to grit his teeth and swallow hard because he's got an ego the size of the earth, to meet with the press after the game, and he was very gracious. He noted that Alabama had its problems and missed the field goals. They couldn't make a 1-yard, couldn't get a first down on a 1-yard run late in the game that would have given them that first down that would kept them marching toward the goal line. And he's very gracious, and then he was very forthcoming in his praise of Auburn and how Auburn played. It's the way you're supposed to be if you're a professional in the coaching profession. You're gracious when you win, you're gracious when you lose. Now, let's go to Nebraska where we have Bo Pelini. I'm an old PR man, and I'd love to sit this guy down and talk to him because, Pelini is not a bad coach. I realize he gets a lot of knocks, but he brings them all on himself. This guy must be someone who lives under the cloud or under the sun, I should say, of unrealistic expectations, and that he should win every game. So after Nebraska was blown out by Iowa this past week at home, somebody asked him, something related to his job and whether he deserved to keep it. And of course, he exploded and he said, I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud of our coaches. If they want to fire me, just let them go ahead. And that followed a tirade of a few weeks ago where he said he didn't care what the Nebraska fans thought or whatever. Here's a guy who needs someone to sit down and tell him to shut up. He's a good coach. He just needs to become more of a human being at these press conferences. You can't win them all, Bo, and you need to come to these press conferences prepared to answer questions such as the one about your job future and your job security at Nebraska. The press is made up of idiots. They're going to ask these foolish questions every single time. Come up with a standard answer. Get prepared to prepare for your after-game press conference like you prepare for a football game. Once again, the contrast between Saban and Pelini was just 180 degrees apart, and I just want to point it out. Bo, you're a good coach. Shut up. Learn to say the right things. It's as simple as that. You'll be in Nebraska a long time if you do just that. And by the way, the athletic director said there that he's not about to fire Pelini. Now, before we get into a rundown on some other things here, remember that all football and basketball releases are released on this website and toll free at 1-800-755-2255. I do take all major credit cards. And a reminder, if you've not made the move to get on board for the basketball season, you're missing out on a lot of winners. Keep in mind that you can join my Best Bet Club and get the entire NBA and college basketball seasons for just $299. It's the bargain of the year. There's no question about that. 2 or 3 plays a day. The top play usually being a 15-unit game. The others 5-unit plays. I help manage your money through my system of unit rating. Get on board. $299 for the entire basketball season. As I said, you can sign up on this website or toll free at 1-800-755-2255. All major credit cards are accepted. Now, let's get to the mess that is the NFL. First of all, the next football game this week feature 2 of the losing teams of the NFL. We have Houston at Jacksonville, 2 teams that are going absolutely nowhere. Jacksonville is certainly playing better than Houston, although Houston is the favorite in this game. I put together a special package for Thursday night that a 50-unit play on the American Athletic Conference showdown, a true showdown that finds Louisville at Cincinnati. Now, Central Florida has already clinched at least a tie for the American Athletic Conference championship, but both Louisville and Cincinnati are still in the running. Central Florida has to play SMU on Saturday, and will certainly need to win that game. Central Florida's already beaten Louisville, haven't played Cincinnati. So that conference championship is still up for grabs, and with it goes the BCS bowl bid, so you can bet all these teams will be firing their best shot. So on Thursday night, a special package, a 50-unit play on Louisville at Cincinnati, throwing in absolutely free the Houston at Jacksonville game. Just keep that in mind. Now, the biggest story of the week, as far as I'm concerned, the biggest news story is the fact that today Coach Ryan of the New York Jets announced that he's sticking with Geno Smith as his starting quarterback. I would think that truthfully he would see if Vinny Testaverde could stand a game or two or whatever, or even bring back Tim Tebow, who is much better than any quarterback on the New York Jets roster right now. You've got a situation here where Geno Smith, a guy loaded with confidence, but quite frankly he's delusional. Here's a guy, and I'll get some of these figures. He was pulled at the halftime of last week's loss against the Miami Dolphins. His quarterback rating for the first half was 8.3. Keep in mind that a decent NFL quarterback's passing efficiency rating will be in the 70s, the 80s, and the good ones even get into the hundreds. He's gone 21 quarters without throwing a touchdown. The Jets have had 1 touchdown in the last 36 possessions, with him leading the team. He has 23 turnovers this season, 1 touchdown and 11 interceptions in the last 7 games, and he's going to start. How bad does it get? It's an absolute joke. I'd start anybody but Geno Smith. And by the way, I'm not so sure that Geno Smith will ever be an NFL quarterback, but that's just me. Big news, Geno starts again. You can tap out on the Oakland Raiders. Okay, now let's get to the NFL playoffs and that scenario. Keep in mind, you can look at a team and say, well, they've already clinched this, they've clinched that, or whatever. Well, nobody's clinched anything yet. Keep in mind that teams have 4 goals as they go to the money at this point of the NFL playoffs. They obviously, they're playing to get in the playoffs. That's number 1. They're playing for home field advantage in the playoffs, number 2. They're playing to get a first-round bye, which is number 3. And those divisional titles are still on the line in most conferences. So not only do teams need to win, they need to win to advance their cause toward the postseason. Right now, if the playoffs began tomorrow, the teams getting first-round byes would be Denver and New England in the AFC, and Seattle and New Orleans in the NFC. And here would be the first-round matchups, the wild card round. You'd have the Ravens at the Colts, the Chiefs at the Bengals, the 49ers at the Lions, and the Panthers at the Cowboys. Already eliminated for sure are Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and Washington and the NFC, everybody's still alive in the AFC, although some just hanging on by a thread. So keep in mind that teams need to win to protect positions, to get into the playoffs, to get that home field advantage or whatever. It's not just another game. I'll go into complete coverage of the NFL and the college football weekend on Friday for you. Now, let's get to the NBA for just a minute. Just want to make a few comments. This shows you how Bears live in the past. In the past we've had the great rivalries, the Boston Celtics, the LA Lakers, San Antonio, Miami, whatever. And these teams are very popular public teams. Indiana has never been a popular public team. The Pacers have opened the season 16-1, but get this, 13-4 against the number. People live in the past. You can't do that. The Indiana Pacers are head and shoulders above everybody in the NBA with the exception of Miami, and they are better than Miami. So once again, live in the present in the NBA, and just don't blindly bet these teams or against teams. Indiana is on a roll, 16-1, 13-4 against the number, and you're getting that kind of figure from the best team in the NBA. Now let's talk about college football just a little bit, and first let's talk about the issue of living in the past. The college football season begins, and you can just count on the ratings, including in the top 10, Duke, Syracuse, Louisville, North Carolina, etc. And other teams are just kind of overlooked. And once again, you've got to get up to speed in college basketball. Let's just take Massachusetts as an example. Massachusetts is off to a 6-0 start, 5-1 against the number, and are a very, very good basketball team. When you do your handicapping, don't just assume because a team doesn't have a big name or hasn't been popular in the past or whatever, don't assume that team can't get it done. Massachusetts is a standout team that doesn't get the proper respect, so even at 6-1, 5-1 against the number. Now last but not least today, I want to cover one thing. A college basketball team is, and get this, don't forget it, is what it is when it goes on the road. It doesn't matter what it does at home. Any basketball team can win at home. The worst can beat the best. And by the way, last night I had a 15-unit play on UAB over nationally ranked North Carolina. UAB at home, talented, got some players who can get it done. Got the cash with UAB. These nationally ranked teams are vulnerable when they go on the road, and once again, you've got to bet a team as it is today, and also how it plays on the road. Now let's get to this issue of playing on the road. Wichita State went to the Final Four last year and got beat barely by Louisville in the first game of the Final Four. Louisville, of course, went on to win the national championship. Wichita State comes back this year. They lost a couple of key players, but they returned 3 dynamite basketball players. But more than anything at all, this is a team that has a reputation for winning on the road. They won on the road last year. They won at home last year. They won on the road the year before. They won at home the year before. Now, this is a good basketball team. Here's a team that's opened the season 8-0, and they're 5-1-1 against the number. There was no line on their opening game against Emporia State. But here's a team 8-0, Wichita State, 5-1-1 against the number, winning on the road. Last night got the money in St. Louis as an underdog, 70-65 against the St. Louis team that's 19-1 at home in its last 20 starts. When teams win on the road, they are declaring to you that they're good. And Wichita State has played 2 games away from home, won them both. Also won at Tulsa, played 2 games on neutral floors, beat BYU and DePaul. A team that wins away from home is a special basketball team. So when you do your daily handicapping, just get into those past performances and those past games and find out how the team has fared on the road, because that tells you what this team is. We've covered a lot of subjects today, all of them serious in nature as far as I'm concerned. Got a great week ahead in football and basketball, and just remember that each day, football and basketball available on this website and toll free at 1-800-755-2255. All major credit cards are accepted. We'll be right back here with the next report on Saturday morning. I thank you so much for watching, and please tune in. We'll go over all the college and the NFL games for the weekend.